to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Good afternoon and welcome back. We are here with you again to present you what has been going on this week. And it's really more of the nonsense and garbage. But before we get to that, let's do station identification so you won't forget where we are transmitting from.
Don't forget. Exactly. Don't forget. We're on OrionTalkRadio.com and Micros.com in Tonawanda, New York. You may be listening on Spreaker.com. You may be listening on TalkSuperstation.com or Shoutcast.com or maybe even the TuneIn app.
Okay. Wherever you are, I hope you're listening and we are following.
Radio Free Mars.
Right. And Greenland, when I sometime hop over to. But I want to report that this week there were no rating of compounding pharmacy reported. None. I don't know if they happened, but they were not reported. So, or no rating of any alternative practitioner office that we know of. Okay? So that's already something. But there was, of course, that was good. The FDA was under fire, so that might have been. It was under fire from the Wall Street Journal. And by the way, I just found out from this article that the Wall Street Journal is owned by Dow Jones.
Da-na-na-na.
Well,
Wow.
yeah. No surprise, but don't you think it's kind of a conflict of interest?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my point. But at least they're doing something good and not attacking the stock issue, but attacking the medical. So I'm glad to see that. It's just too bad that it's from a group that is kind of, well, what can I say? Conflict of interest. The Wall Street Journal report information on stock and a different company and reports on initial public offerings, all these things, and then it's owned by Dow Jones. I don't know. But anyway, that's what the situation is. In this case, though, the article of the Wall Street Journal attacks something that is happening in FDA, and apparently there is war going on inside FDA, and there are sparks of fire everywhere within FDA. And the latest, I know that there have been before, but they have been asked all the time. I don't know how the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal find out from somebody that is a senior official of FDA who disagrees with what FDA is doing, and he is a doctor. His name is Thomas Marciniak. Marciniak? Okay. But what is going on is the sparking and the war is going on between the senior official and his superior, and it's about a receptor blocker, a drug, okay? That is a receptor blocker. And is the technical name of the receptor are angiotensin receptors. And the drug blocks this receptor. These receptors are, by the way, are found in anything with a lot of blood in it: heart, blood vessel, kidney, lungs, and brain. Okay? And apparently, they use these drug that blocks such receptor for treating hypertension and heart failure. But the researcher at FDA, this guy and other part of his team, have found that these blockers actually tremendously increase the chance of cancer occurrence. They cause cancer.
Oh,
okay?
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all right, for the drug company, more money, right?
Yeah.
Right, and apparently that's the stand of FDA, because this guy is pointed this out to his superior and it said that they needed to do more, dedicate more time, research time, to give a definite account of how much the chance of getting cancer is increased. Okay? Just give it detail. And his superior told them to forget it because they could not afford the additional man time, effort for this. It's too expensive in their opinion. And this guy was totally flabbergasted because he reported that all he was going to take is between 60 to 93 man days. So if you put one man, it can take 60 to 93 days, or if you put more men, it will take less. And he said this is for a study that will take care of answering the question whether or not a drug taken by millions of Americans can actually increase the chance of cancer or increase the cancer rate. So he said since millions of people are taking this drug, he thinks it's pretty important to do this, which is really a minimal effort. But his boss said that unless he did that on his own, on off time, he was not gonna approve it. Okay?
So they would rather just
Oh my God.
let it go, let it rip, let people die, on and on, just like we talked about last week, Dr. One drug that's for a specific condition, like a heart condition or whatever, hypertension.
Or high blood pressure, yes.
Yes, is a drug that has been seen. Obviously, it's been observed. Obviously, complaints have been made.
Reported,
It's been reported that this drug can cause cancer. And yet the top guy says, forget about it. No, we don't have the resource. We don't have the time for something like that. Who cares?
Who cares? And there is more, okay? This is his boss indicated in writing, the moron. He put it in writing, okay? The all Latin sentence, verba volant, scripta manunt, okay? If he has said it, well, he could have said, no, I never said that, or he misunderstood me. But he put it in writing, the idiot. Okay? And what he said was, this drug is called ARB. That's the symbol of it, okay? The blocker. AR blocker, it's ARB. But unless it doesn't, he feels that FDA would not have any interest in issuing any regulatory decision, which means even something as simple as a warning label. No, they are not interested in doing that unless, and this is the important part, listen to this, unless this guy can prove that there is actually definitely a 30% increase in the occurrence of cancer by taking this drug. 30%? Only then they might consider to issue a regulatory statement, something as simple as saying they have to put a warning label. Otherwise, no warning label, unless there is a 30%. Proven.
And that proven means people get cancer. Ex post facto, they got the cancer. By that time, now maybe we'll put a warning. Is that what it is?
But what he's saying is you have to have a scientifically proven, which means manpower, which is not allowing him to have. Okay? Manpower for the effort is not allowing him. But what I like to point out is how, I don't know if people can really have a sinking into their head the gravity of this statement. But I'm trying to say something, okay? If you remember, a few months ago, I talked about the first compounding pharmacy of this year, then there were more after, but the first compounding pharmacy closed down by FDA this year was a compounding pharmacy in Massachusetts and a few others, but this was the main target. And they said because of the steroid injection. And the rate, they said that the steroid injection coming from this compounding pharmacy caused adverse effect. They didn't say what, and the people didn't die, okay? and they didn't get cancer. But the rate of causing adverse effect, you know what it was? 0.027%.
Wow.
And they closed down the compounding pharmacy, okay? They closed it down. And then the one in Florida also seems to be that they closed. I talked about last week, seemed about that percentage also. And the percentage for rating Lesmed Inc. was even less than that because it was one patient, okay? Adverse effect, which wasn't, because in none of those cases they even consider what else did the patient do, what else did the patient receive, what else did the patient take, because the adverse effect didn't happen till later, not at the time they had the injection. For the compounding pharmacy.
Dr. Carpenter, in each of these cases, correct me if I'm wrong, but evidently there was no investigation done by FDA to determine what the other possible causes of anything might be. Isn't that correct?
No, correct. Nothing at all. Just hearsay by people, and that's it. They close them down for what? 0.027%. 30% chance of causing cancer is insignificant and cannot raise the interest of FDA. Okay, do you see anything wrong with all of this?
Well, there's something wrong with all of it, Dr. Carpenter, but my question is this. Evidently, this bigwig who denied the possibility of doing the research to put out a warning or anything else, apparently you said he put it in writing, and then it got the attention of the media, and now there's an internal conflict in the FDA. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And also they're attacking the Wall Street Journal for even publishing something like that. There is internal spark, and also there is war with the Wall Street Journal, and therefore attacking Dow Jones because they own the Wall Street Journal. So it's a repercussion. I mean, how dare you stick your nose in our affairs, right?
Yeah. The Fraud and Death Administration.
Absolutely. And we are not doing anything about this. It keeps happening every day. It's amazing that this week they didn't raid another pharmacy. I don't know if there are any left, and how few are left. The first was the one in Massachusetts. There were other, and then a couple of weeks ago was the one in Tennessee, and then last week the one in Florida. This week nothing, but there is this going on. That's why they were busy with that, trying to fight back on that.
They're evidently going around on a campaign to shut anybody down. Anybody.
That is not part of the system. That is a small business, and is not part of the crooked system. And in the comment of the boss that refused to give him the approved manpower to do the work, they say it's a lot more important, and it's wider than just this particular drug. It's actually an attitude that is seen everywhere in FDA, that they are not really interested in investigating the market, what they do, what bad side effect might have. They're not interested in that. They are more interested in new drugs.
Well, yes.
They're interested in approving new drugs. Yes, go ahead.
But the public policy statement made by FDA, which is not only ironic but idiotic, is that they're there to protect the health and safety of the population. Nonsense.
Well, and how do they protect the health and safety of the population? By attacking pharmacies that have, some of them they have been closed, not because they had any adverse effect, but they were raided, and they said that their policy in how to produce sterile compounds might cause problems. Might. Mind you, FDA decided that they might cause problems, not that they did. That's what happened in the one in Tennessee. They might cause problems, so they close them down. And And then the one that it's being reported to cause cancer, which is a serious thing, increasing the rate of cancer, that is not important unless he could have hard evidence on research that it is 30%. What? 30% is outrageous. If you're rating the compounding pharmacy for a 2%, then it should be the same for that. 2% increase rate for cancer, then you should use the same thing and not put just a warning label.
Tell me they don't have the money to do this necessary research. Tell me they don't have the money. They're gluttonous with money. They have money to earn.
Because they want to use the manpower to approve new drugs, because they get $1 million per drug. That upfront. What they get under the table, heaven knows. But that's what they get officially. Okay? That's why they don't have the manpower. Because they're crooks. And then they approve new drugs and they cover up the bad effects of the drugs. And then it comes up with a statement, 30% out of what? You have to prove if it's any less than 30%, they're not going to worry about it. And if you cannot prove with hard evidence that it is 30%, then they're also not going to worry about it. What? 30%?
Yeah, it's really unbelievable, Dr. Carpenter. And this fellow that made the complaint, wanting to do the research, Marciniak is his name?
No, I think so. Marciak. Yes, and it's I don't know if he's just an MD or he's also a PhD. I'm not sure because I read it, but I didn't write it down, so I don't know. But
do they have, Dr. Carpenter? Here's a question that I have. Excuse me. Do they have a staff of people that are MDs or somehow have the credentials that do the research that they say they do? Is that what they have?
They do have them, but whether they are allowed to do the needed research, it's another story. They are there.
They're probably ordered what you will do and what you will not do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is the case because when I was hired in the defense industry, they hired me because of my degrees, my credential, to show the government they had the right people. But then what they did was try to tell me what I should write down and I should say. And if I didn't, somebody else will write it down using my credential. And that's where the war started with me.
Yes, so you weren't allowed to do the job for which you were hired and for which you had the expertise, which is why they hired you. They just decided, once you're in there, here's what you're going to do. We don't care. No, we don't care who you are.
Right, but I thought I was hired and these people are hired for their expertise. No, they are hired for fun.
Loyalty.
To show. Yeah, see, we have the right people. We can show that we know what we are doing. We can show that we have what it takes to express an opinion, but then they won't let the person with the qualification write down what they feel is happening. They won't. And they will override you all the time. And then if you fight back, then you're out. And I think this guy, being a senior official working at FDA, he probably has been there for years and years when FDA was different. Because years ago it wasn't like this, okay? It's just during the two past administration that things have gone, Bush and Obama have gone down the tube. But before FDA didn't used to be like this.
And Dr. Let me point out this too, because I put a post on my website, I guess it was last week sometime. It's about the radio show here, The Medical Conspiracy. And I mentioned something that I think a lot of people may not know. And it's a very vital piece of information about you. And that is that you were a whistleblower in the defense industry. And so they had it in for you. The government already had it in for you even before you started practicing with your treatment, okay? They had it in for you, and they drove you into, once again, financial destitution, homelessness. They gave you help being a whistleblower because you had integrity and stood up for the thing. And they don't want that.
No, they don't. They don't want people to know what is really going on. And it's amazing that this guy got the information out to the Wall Street Journal. I don't know how it happened, because I know that they have this thing inside FDA that they threaten people, you'll be fired if you do that. And I know they do that in the defense industry. I'm sure they do it in FDA.
They do it everywhere, Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah, it's just
I'm just waiting to see now if this guy gets fired. But see, it's good. It's a good thing that it got the attention of a mainstream media like the Wall Street Journal, because at least the issue is out there. And you know what? There's so many people, at least from what I read on the internet, I read in the newspapers, how many people are absolutely disgusted with the FDA. I mean, they are just so far out of control.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? My point here is...
We got about a minute.
Okay, FDA, and we'll get over after the break. But what I want to say before the break is FDA has no business having a department of criminal investigation. Has no business hiring the various Jeremy Bain. No business whatsoever.
FDA Division of Spooks.
Amen.
Criminal. Really, they're the real criminal. A criminal investigation? No, they're criminal investigating respectable citizen. That's what it is. A department of criminals investigating respectable citizen. That's what it is, and it needs to be dismantled, just like FDA need to be dismantled and rearranged. Okay, I think we got a break coming up, right? Are we at the break yet?
We've got a few seconds.
Wow, amazing.
Well,
yes.
I can hear the music.
Okay.
Well, I think I can hear the music.
Okay. Okay. We'll be back after the break.
I am a doctor. Have a seat. We gotta fill out these forms. I'll be with you in a moment.
Real alternative radio. We are OrionTalkRadio.com.
You're listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we're back from the break. And during the break, we were talking about something of interest that has nothing to do, well, it's really indirectly connected to the medical conspiracy and how they keep you believing that the AMA has all the answer and they do, even for simple things. And getting away from the FDA for a second, they asked me to point this out to the public for people that might or might not know. And you know that the way life is, you end up bumping somewhere all the time and ending up getting painful bruises and having to wait that they go away. It's nothing serious. It's not going to kill you, but it's uncomfortable. And all you have to do is, and you probably can buy online. I don't know how many pharmacies have it. Probably not. It is called Arnica or Arnica. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. It's up to you. By
Arnica.
Yeah.
Arnica.
Yeah.
Hey, does that work on a bruised heart?
Maybe if you take the little pills, they have the sugar pills that you put under your tongue. I've been taking that, Dr. Carpenter. Plus, I use the gel from a health food store. You can get it at any health food store. It's amazing. It's if you bang yourself on something, you just put it on right away, and it will stop a bruise from being worse. And it will stop the pain, too.
Actually, well, the bruise will stop because what it does is basically the bruise happens because when you bump somewhere, you break your capillary vessels and then they spill blood and then you get this bruise under the skin. And sometimes it's pretty bad. Well, Arnica or Arnica, whatever. Yeah, it shrinks the vessel so you don't have the bleeding under the skin and you don't get these obnoxious bruises. It helps the pain too, but they also have what is called arnica montana. There are pills that you put under your tongue and you wait that they dissolve and they really control the pain. And you can buy them together and keep them in the house because, you know, you bump it. I bump everywhere all the time.
I keep it in my handbag, Dr. Carpenter, and especially the little pills. Because sometimes, like, if I have to sit somewhere, like I go to church or something, and I have to sit for a certain period of time, my neck starts to really hurt because I have the arthritis. I just take a few of those little pills, and it really helps. I've been using it for decades. So you don't need to go. You don't need to get me a doctor. Go out and pay a doctor when it's something simple like that.
And if you don't have a health food store nearby or a place with the homeopathic product for sale, you can order it online. Go online and check different prices. Some are really good prices, and some the pack of arnica comes with the arnica montana little
the
vial.
The vial. That's right, and it's so far less expensive than taking some idiot drug. Why do you need a drug for something so simple?
For a bruise.
You know, I just remembered where I first saw that word, arnica or arnica, whatever it's called. I was a child, little kid, and it was a cartoon that I remember after school when we'd get home there would be Bozo, on TV every day, and they would play a lot of these old cartoons he would play that were from, I guess, World War II days or something, and it was a familiar theme that this one cartoon creator would do. Basically, inanimate objects come into life after dark, and they have a symphony, and they play classical music, and it's just all inanimate objects that are, it's cartoon art, basically what it is. And it was this one cartoon where they were in a drugstore, in some old drugstore, and the medicine bottles come to life, and they grow faces and arms, and they start dancing around the drugstore, and then there's, they're dancing with each other, and little creative ways of making, a mortar and pestle look like they come to life, and a bottle of medicine coming to life. But that's the first place I ever saw that word, and I had no idea what it was, and I never really heard about it.
And they like to keep you that way. They like to keep the public unaware of what's available in natural remedies. See?
That's right. And you know what, Randy, I'm so glad you brought that up, because in the old days, if you go back to like the 40s or the 50s, people still used those kind of remedies. No, they still used it.
Well, when I was in Little Rock and I was using this doctor who was a retired anesthesiologist, and he had gotten his license in 1953. Well, he was one of those doctors, okay? And some of the patients we had were ridiculing him because he was going for natural remedies, okay?
That they were old-fashioned, right? Old-fashioned.
Right. And they were making fun of him. Oh, he's stupid. No, he was telling you valid things. Some things he did not know, but, he knew a lot more than other doctors I have worked with. So, it just slandering people that do not go for drugs. He did not prescribe all these drugs. He did not. And some patients were asking him, and he said no. So, it was good. That's why he took him away from me. They pulled his license. So it's just the way things are. It's just disgusting. There are a lot of remedies out there. And what I was saying is, what you do is, with a bruise, if you want to get rid of it, you use for a few days. So when you're sure that there's no more blood spilling. And then what you do is you start using vitamin E on it. And it will dissipate very quickly. Just put it there. And don't buy the vitamin E oil because it's not strong enough for that job. It can do something, but it's not strong enough. What you do is buy the gel cap that people take for supplement. You buy those, snip it up from the top, and then you squeeze it on the area where you have the bruise, and it will disappear a lot faster. And I see that
Dr. Carpenter. You're right. I've used that therapy too for many years. I used to poke the capsule open with a pin, and then you can just squeeze out the pure high strength vitamin E. There's things out there that are so effective and they are so inexpensive compared to these drugs that they're pushing.
I know, it's just unbelievable. Let me tell you something else. One of the gifts I had from Arkansas was a body ringworm. And if you know, that is next to impossible to get rid of. And they give you all these cream that are nonsense, okay? Really nonsense. They do not work. And they gotten to the point that one prescription, one tube of that one was... It used to be reasonably priced going to Walmart. And then the last time I went there, last time I had a doctor working for me that could prescribe it, it was $50. And I said, that's ridiculous. It's tiny little tube of $50. Well, let me tell you something. If you go to Walmart, there is a product also for fungal infection called Pro X. That's an unknown brand. It costs less than $1 at Walmart. And it will do the job a lot better than that $50 cream. Okay?
Less than $1?
88 cents at Walmart.
Wow.
If you go in the section where they have these different products, some brand name, well, this one is unknown brand, but it does work beautifully. See? 88 cents.
Yeah.
So the drugs,
you have to look for the right things. Yep.
And it's in the health and supplements?
Well, no, in the area where you have all these products for, they have, in that section, they have also Neosporin, all those things.
Like the pharmacy section, you mean? Basically.
No, you don't go to the pharmacy. You know when they have those aisles with different things that don't need prescription? Okay. Yes. Like Neosporin and other things, and they have also Mederma for the scars. They have different things, and this is in the in that aisle is a section with all the different brands. I can't even remember what they are. A lot more expensive. They do nothing, by the way, for fungal infection. Well, if you go and look at that, it's a tube, and the casing is green. It's a Pro X, and that's the best you can find. Really works. Yeah. And it's 88 cents. So what does that tell you? How jacked up the prices are of those other products? Huh?
Yeah, it's really outrageous and atrocious. Atrocious.
But they don't control that. They don't check it. They don't control. And
it's over the counter, right?
Right. Yeah, it's over the counter. It's on the shelf. Just
I have a question for you, Dr. Carpenter. What about saline solution and food coloring? Isn't that over the counter too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about that?
Yeah, but once you mix it,
but that's different.
Because you're using it for cancer.
That's a drug. That's a drug.
Well, you're using it for cancer, so therefore it becomes controlled. So, if you're trying to bake a cake and you want a color or color frosting, well, that becomes a drug. You have to be careful. You have to have permission from FDA if you want to use a color frosting.
You'll be raided by thugs with guns if you try to bake some cookies for St. Patrick's Day or cupcakes.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about cookies that are laced with marijuana. We're talking about...
We're just talking about regular cookies.
Regular cookies, yeah. And I just... Unbelievable. And by the way... The FDA team that go and raid people, all they are doing is not doing their job. They are doing job security. They're establishing job security, their job security, by destroying the business and the lives of people that are doing honest work. That's what it is.
Well, I wonder, Dr. Carpenter, I wonder if they give them, like in some police departments, it's unethical, but they'll give them a quota. You got to get out there and make your quota. You got to arrest X number of people. Do you think they do that in FDA too?
Well, I know that the police does it for tickets on Friday. That's why you're more likely to get a speeding ticket even if you're not speeding on Friday, because they have to make their quota. So why not the department? And even if it's not directly a quota, this Department of Criminal Investigation was created just a few years ago. They have to justify their existence, and they continue existence. I think that's what's going on, and they don't really care who they hurt.
And they're funded by the same companies that they're hired to protect.
Yeah, sure. Well, the money of the drug company goes to FDA, so their survival, and there is no telling.
Extortion and bribery.
It is mafia. It is extortion. Absolutely. And let me tell you something. They might have somebody like Jeremy Bain that is older, but the rest are stupid greenhorns. That's all they are.
Well, that's true, Dr. Carpenter. In almost every agency, some of these young punks that they hire in the old days, and that goes to all the agencies that I've ever known, FBI, CIA. In the old days, people were actually trained. There may have been at least some honor. Some. Okay, none of them are what they were in the past. And now they have these arrogant young punks.
Stupid, ignorant.
Ignorant and arrogant. That's right.
Yeah, because how do you want... You send somebody to investigate what he's doing and investigating a laser system, and you don't know what milliwatt is?
Yeah, that was pretty unusual.
And then he took the computer apart to load the information, and then he couldn't put it back. In other words,
they're not educated in the very areas or disciplines.
I just think he didn't give a damn. He didn't want to put it back in place.
No, I think he was because he was upset. He was insulted when I told him, so you don't know what you're doing? Boy, he got really bad.
Yeah, well, when the cops go in and toss a place, if they have a warrant, you think they ever put anything back? No. They leave you with the huge mess. Your house is like a hurricane went through.
I know, but he tried to do that. They were trying to do that because I said, okay, you come here. Because Bain said, well, you can go now. I said, oh, really? And I'm going to leave you here ransacking my place? I don't think so. And they got insulted. Well, that's not fair. We are not. We are putting things back. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, see, Wendy was anxious to leave. She was very uncomfortable. She was very upset. She left, but it was no way I was gonna leave him alone.
And I don't blame you, Dr. Carpenter. I wouldn't either. I'd stand right there until
that's what I did. That was my life, my world, my property.
Until the door hit their backsides on the way out. I'd be in there.
Yeah, and he was not happy when he left. After all he had done to me, he was not happy because he was trying to find an excuse to arrest me, which he couldn't find. So, anyway, these are the good days. Oh, God.
Good day.
Yeah. No, they're not. I'm being sarcastic about good days. I'm just saying these are the things that happen to people that are trying to do the right thing, okay? And then the doctors lie to patients, trying to cover up what I have done. They lie to them, and some patients believe them. Some patients don't. But some patients believe him. And when I get, even after all these years, I get feedback from a patient that has received those letters. And, they put him in file 13. So, because they were trying to find people that will jump on me, but most of them just totally ignore them. In fact, all they did, beside the guy, the one complaint they received, everything else, they took it out of my email that they stole from downloading the hard drive, the memory. But the cases they were discussing were not necessarily talking to them, just the information they found there. Disgusting. Okay? Just, I should not be allowed in a civilized country. Especially if they're not going to worry about a 30% increase in cancer cases caused by this drug, they're going to worry about a 0.02% maybe at the most, without investigating what happened to them and why.
Exactly, Dr. Carpenter. That's the biggest problem that I've had with this all along, is that they zero in on one lone person, you, who've never done any harm to anybody, who saved people's lives by their own testimony, and you had one idiot that made a complaint and you did nothing to cause any harm to him. He got what he got because he did not listen, and he went back and got standard treatment. And so there's a grand jury investigation mounted against Dr. Carpenter, okay, on the complaint, the weak, completely irrelevant complaint of one person, and yet they will not take the time or the resources to investigate 30% of people who are getting cancer from another drug. What the hell is it about then?
Money.
And it's a drug that millions of people take. So millions, not 1 million, millions. So think about what 30% of those million is. It's a lot of people.
Well, that's right. That's
It's
right.
a lot of people. Oh, no, there won't be any interest on FDA taking any regulatory action, which means even something as simple as a warning label, which is worthless, because the warning label, the doctor will say, oh, no, yeah, this is there, but it won't apply to your case. Like he wouldn't know what case it would apply to. Okay?
Yeah, the FDA needs to be shut down.
They need to arrest all the members of the criminal investigation because they are criminal themselves. They need to. Okay, and another thing. Okay, how come with all these things going on, nobody's standing up and say we are going to fire the head of FDA? And don't wait. Do you know what happened? The last thing I heard about the IRS scandal was that the head of the IRS was asked to resign and refused. Okay, well, don't ask him to resign. Fire them. Okay?
Into the street.
Right, like they did to me for being a whistleblower in the defense industry. They threw me in the street as a whistleblower in the defense industry, and they don't throw in the street the head of the IRS for what they do.
They don't throw the criminals in jail, Dr. Carpenter.
They don't.
But the criminals are running the enterprise.
They are, and the same is with FDA. Fire the head of FDA, not confirm her position like he did after he was reelected, whatever that was. But anyway, yeah, and then close down the criminal. There is no excuse to have an organization that is called Criminal Investigation for Citizen. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration. What do you mean criminal investigation? You can say you have to stop doing what you're doing, not close them down for a possible problem. Possible, not actual. But criminal? No, they are criminal. And they should be immediately fired and thrown out in the street with nothing, like they're doing to a lot of people.
What really bothers me is that people are so inculcated into believing the doctors and the medical establishment, and if you try to say anything, you try to explain something, even if I meet people or talk to people and somebody mentions some kind of thing that they have, and then I'll just say, oh, have you considered, I'll try to say, well, what about this? Some alternative thing. Oh, no. And yet they'll keep complaining. They'll complain about the doctors. They'll complain about the drugs, but they won't even try anything different.
Yeah, and a lot of them are not even complaining because the doctor prescribed it, so obviously it's good.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I have had some people that went for cancer to Buffalo, New York, at the Roswell Park place, and those are the most crooked, lying, cheating animals that I've ever discussed. I had to deal with.
Was that located, Dr. Carpenter?
Buffalo, New York. It's Roswell Park.
Okay.
Yes. And they claim, if you go to their website, they claim in their advertising that they do photodynamic therapy. Okay? And I thought, okay. So years ago when I was getting people that I couldn't treat because it was internal organ, I directed them to Roswell Park. I said, I even had the phone number. I gave him the phone number to call. Roswell Park in Buffalo, New York. Well, I had some, not all of them, but some patient got back with me and told me what happened. Okay? They hung up on them. They were really rude and they hung up on them. Now, wait a minute. You advertise that you're doing photodynamic therapy. Oh, yeah, but no, we're just doing research.
Don't touch that mouse. The Medical Conspiracy will return in just a moment.